Welcome everyone to this wonderful Saturday morning. We are here in the Inner Growth podcast, and I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Pocket. They've been amazing. They've been super supportive. So just want to call them out and talk about them for a second. If I could pull it up. Sorry, bear with me here. So yeah, Pocket's been our sponsor from the get-go. They've been amazing and supportive, and we just want to again call them out and thank them for their support so far. We also want to give a call out to our guest today, Z, aka Ansem, is here with us. Ansem, thanks for being here. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, we're so excited to have you on. We'd love to hear really quick if you could just share with the viewers a little bit about yourself. How'd you get your start in crypto? How long have you been in the space? Just some of the goodies.
Okay, cool. I started in crypto like right after I graduated. So I was in 2017. Yeah. So I was working like software engineering. And actually one of my mentors at my job was telling me that he was like making more money trading crypto than he was like at work. And I was like, wait, like that's that's ridiculous. So that's when I like first started looking into it. Back then it was like we had like Bittrex was like the main altcoin exchange, and everything was really paired with Bitcoin. So it was pretty much it was not definitely not as extensive as we have now with DeFi and everything else. But yeah, that was my start. Made a good chunk of unrealized profit that I gave back to the market in 2018. And yeah, kind of like I wasn't really paying attention much during the bear market, so I missed like the first round of like DeFi summer. And I think that was most of 2020. So I really didn't really wasn't really heavy into crypto again until like late 2020. That's when I started like going back into everything heavy and really looking at the stuff closely. So yeah,
and
I'm full time crypto now. Was software engineering.
and what was your entrance into DFK? How did you even discover DFK?
Yeah, so I found DFK off a Twitter thread actually that I made. So you guys know I tweet all the time, tweet basically about everything that I'm trading, everything that I'm looking at. And I was tweeting about all the different like chains and their main decks on each chain because I figured, okay, AVAX just had Trader Joe, which did like 20, 30x. Solana had like Radium, which did well. But on Harmony, nobody had really been talking about it yet. So that was one of the chains that I was asking people about. And I like listed all the like a few different L1s in their dexes. And then Sats pointed out Viper Swap, and some other people in the comments were talking about DFK. And that was like early September. So yeah, I found it through that. First, I started on Viper Swap, then I was looking at DeFi Llama, which lists like all the dexes on Harmony, and I saw DeFi Kingdoms on there also. And then when I looked at DeFi Kingdoms, I basically just moved all the funds that I had on ViperSwap over there because I was like, this is a DEX, but it's also like a game, and they have an entire map. I've never seen a DEX with that much functionality. So that's how I got started. That was
And
really
then
early.
I guess let's just get your take. I'd love to hear the panel's take. So obviously, the market's been a little shaky recently. Jewel is not exempt. And some or Z. Let's start with you, and then let's go Samichpunch and Babypunch. General thoughts on the price and the sentiment in the market right now, and how are you looking at the market right now? What's your approach? Are you bearish or are you bullish?
I'm bullish. So I think that Jewel hadn't really had a large like profit taking really since really its beginning. I know like when I wrote my like the Q4 when I wrote about DFK, it was at $1, like $1.30, and that's when the farms were also like 10K plus APR. So it went from 1 to 25 with no pullback. So that's already a 25x. But people don't like include that the farms were also paying people a lot. So like a lot of the early people were up 100x from October, and I think we've just seen a
Yikes.
lot of profit taking from those people. And then also you saw with the locked jewel, I think people were arbing that like if you sell your unlocked and buy locked, and then there were also new people buying locked. So I think we've got out a lot of the people that wanted to take profit and a lot of the people that don't really believe in the project long term, I think have sold at this point. So I think like if I'm bullish, but it depends on the macro. Like if Bitcoin and Ethereum slide lower, then obviously I think Jule's going to slide lower also. But I think we're closer to a bottom than we are to more downside.
Samichpunch?
Yeah, so I think that the biggest thing that's just not like my concern, but I think that's going to keep Jewel from like taking off again is just like the macroeconomic environment. What's Bitcoin doing? And that, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't do a lot of technical analysis. Frankly, I don't even like follow Bitcoin too much. I've always just been like full degen on altcoins, but I think that everything's still coupled to Bitcoin. So if, like Z said, if it goes down, I could see Jewel dipping even more. But I don't really make too many decisions based on that. We already saw a like 75, 80% correction in Jewel price. So I'm like, I believe in the project and the team, and just based off of other projects that I've invested in, there's a stark contrast between how the DFK team is rolling things out and how other teams are rolling things out, how they're communicating with the community, how the community interacts with each other. So like, I know that's not really helpful. I don't know. I have no idea where the market's going. I joke about it in the Discord. I said, market's going to do one of three things. It's going to go up, it's going to trade sideways for a while, or it's going to go down.
What about
Babypunch?
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of cautiously bullish. So I don't really have any say of where the market's going to be or how it's going to act, but I think a lot of it's going to pan out with the macroeconomics, just like Samichpunch said. So it's nice. One thing I do know is it's nice to just sit in the gardens because you're constantly accumulating. Just as Z said, I kind of think we're hopefully at the bottom. I don't really know for sure, but I know we've had a big correction, a downward, and it seems like it's hovered pretty well at its current price. We very easily could see more downward trend, but honestly, it's just nice to be in the gardens. You're constantly accumulating. You can decide whether you want to take some profits, whether you want to keep stacking jewel bags. If the price does recover, then you're going to be that much more well off. So it's different than just holding jewel and your MetaMask and just sitting there. But when you're farming in the LP pools, then you've got a hedge. Even if price does stay at this current price, the jewel price, you're still going to be way more well off in a couple months down the road just from garden rewards. So cautiously kind of bullish.
I'll add one more thing that I meant to say earlier is, so like, I'm all about looking at like fundamentally what's going on. And yeah, the prices Jewel has tanked a ton, but when you look at the fundamentals, nothing has changed for me. And so I think that it's like, this is like the perfect opportunity to keep stacking Jewel. In the gardens, the profession quests are actually yielding a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just, farming away. If you got to take your profits at 7 and move it into other projects, I mean, you do what you got to do. But I think that this is still just nothing has changed fundamentally about this game. There's been a lot of like FUD about different things, but that's just what happens when a bear market comes out. People start fighting about various things. People start getting super bearish and FUDding different things. And I think that's just largely a function of, of people that come in at $22, it dipped to 75%, and they're like crazy salty. And I mean, I would be too. I bought a big bag at $21.50. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So Z, I'd be interested to get your take on this. Frisky Fox with an announcement that they may be limiting the ability to sell lock jewel in some way. I'm a big fan of providing liquidity to players, providing choices to players, not limiting options. Any thoughts on the way they're handling lock jewel? And do you feel like the ability to sell lock jewel is a negative? It's a bad thing. It can hurt, destabilize the DFK economy, or are you in favor of it?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think we're in DeFi, it's decentralized finance. I think people are gonna make tools to basically allow people to do that in whatever way they can if the market wants that to happen. So I don't think it's necessarily a negative. I do understand how they want the game and like the tokenomics design, like the way that they plan. So I think it's in their right to do whatever they feel is necessary to keep that as it is. But I also think like, so a lot of the people that were buying Locked Jewel, if like buying like millions and like high six figures of it, some of those people weren't in DFK before. So like a lot of those people who are buying Locked Jewel now, they have Locked Jewel, but it's like if they weren't paying attention, then they don't know that they need Unlocked Jewel if they want to participate in Crystal Veil, which is the AVAX launch coming up. So I think like those people are going to become more invested in the ecosystem because DFK rewards those who are the most active in the game. Like the people who are in the gardens, the people who have heroes, they get the most airdrops, they get the most rewards, they get the most benefit. So I think that a lot of those new entrants are going to become like longer term players, which I think is good anyway. But yeah, I think the market is like, people are going to figure out how to sell if they want to sell. Honestly, I think, I mean, unless they change the contracts completely.
Got it. So Samichpunch, let's go then to another Frisky Fox announcement. Could you fill us in really quick, just high level? What do we know about lands? What do we know about the land giveaway to date? What's the information? What information do we have presented from the team?
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying that there is a lot that it isn't known, but that it is, there's going to be 1,000 plots total. There are 100 that are on the map right now. 50 were released via airdrop. I was actually looking back at some of my old articles, and I'm actually going to share my screen here on this. Some interesting stuff that was said about land back in September. So, I mean, obviously some of these things could change, and everyone needs to, keep in mind this is like a constantly evolving game. But I do think there was some interesting stuff because I think I saw like these first 100 plots. I'm like, sweet, when are the 900 coming out? And I think that it's actually going to roll out a little bit differently. So let me share this. All right. So these are like the quote lost annals of Gaia. I had been compiling for a few months various things that Hubert had been saying in the Discord. But if we go down to land here, so he says farming on your land is definitely something you'll be able to do. There will be resource nodes. This is also in the docs.
Are you sharing Samichpunch?
Oh, sorry. Here we go. All right. Yeah. So farming on the land, there'll be resource nodes. They mentioned that every land will have different types of resource nodes. You'll be able to build buildings on them. Those buildings will be able to farm those resource nodes. They'll be able to provide passive benefits. They mentioned landowners will get cuts of in-game transactions. I have no idea what that's going to look like. They have said multiple times, right here, land ownership is going to be a big part of guilds. I suspect that it will be a prerequisite to even having like an official guild in game. Speculating here, I'm guessing that as you go to the world map and you see a plot, and if you own it, you'll be able to go into it. And if you create a guild on it and you're part of the guild, you'll also be able to access that land. That's what I'm gonna guess is happening. Yeah. This one was interesting to me. To remember this, there will be 1,000 plots. As the fog of war gets rolled back, we will open 50 to 100 at a time. So I think what we're going to see is like we just saw 100 open up here, and it's going to roll out in phases. And I think in my mind, for some reason, I'd forgotten that, and I was thinking like, okay, here's the 100, and then like we're just going to get like 900 right after that. It's going to slowly come out in phases. So that's interesting to remember.
Okay, Ansem, or Z, excuse me. Question for you, since thou hast been in many projects, you've got a lot of experience, a lot more than I do. I'm pretty new in the space. What is your knee-jerk? We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I'd love to hear just your knee-jerk reaction to the fact that DFK employees have received lands as part of the airdrop. Does that bug you? Is that bearish? Is that totally okay? Is that a warning sign? How do you feel about it?
It didn't bug me personally, but that's because I know that they're also playing the game. I think that I know that they like part of their team distribution was also giving some of the team heroes. And I think like if you have a hero, there's not really a point in having a hero if you can't play the game as a user. So it's like it's kind of a moot point if they're gonna give the team like as part of their reward for being a part of the team. If they're gonna have heroes, you can't really exclude them from everything else. I do think it's a valid concern that people have, but personally to me, I don't really see an issue with it. As long as it wasn't like we set aside land for our employees, like as long as it was a random like selection that happened from people who have basically the same access as everybody else.
Okay. Babypunch, bothered? And again, let's have a disclosure to chat, whoever's watching this. Most people in this podcast are whales. So this is going to be a whale POV on this, right? Like we're not representing maybe the common man on the layman, but still curious to hear Babypunch and Samichpunch on whether team members receiving lands is okay.
My personal take. So I know, and Frisky made an announcement on this, just on how much the teams. He never gave any specific numbers, but he did mention that the team is being very well compensated for all their efforts. So I had this conversation with Samichpunch a little bit ago, even before like even heroes. They do get paid very, very well, and as jewel price goes up, I mean that's just compounded. And I do think that they should be paid well, because they're leaving steady, secure jobs, jumping into a new project. Who knows if this is going to pan out? So they took a lot of risk. So I do think that they should be compensated well. They did get heroes, so there's also an incentive to that. And as he said, that you kind of need it to play the game. So I fully understand that. The land, honestly, I think they're being very well compensated on every aspect of this game. I personally don't think land was necessary to be given out to the team members. I mean, they're all paid well. They all got free heroes. And I don't really have much to complain about. I did win one of the free Gen Zero airdrops. So super grateful. Don't have anything really to complain about, but it may have been unnecessary for them also to get land, I think. I mean, no one's really hurting on that team, so that's my personal take on it.
Samich?
Yeah. So I think I like suffer from the problem of like zealously advocating both sides of an argument as an attorney. And I see really strong arguments for and against it. You know, some people were mentioning like this would be illegal if this was in the US. I'm not sure if that's true. Like a company's employees participating. It generally smacks of just like impropriety and like, well, I mean, maybe you shouldn't do that. But at the same time, I think we need to reward like the right type of behavior. And like if a developer wants to actually be playing the game, that's a good thing, right? You know, I do the whale watch reports. If you look at it, there's a couple dev teams that are on that top report, like the top wallets. If they can't participate in things like Crystal Veil airdrops, land airdrops, raffles, do we want to incentivize them to just dump their jewel and exit it into, fiat, since this is their source of income? I don't know if that's, I think we want to see them also just like keeping their jewel in the economy as well. So there's a lot of things to think about. I was talking about it with some other people, and maybe one way to get around this is and again, I need to take one quick step back and put a disclaimer. Like, I don't represent DeFi Kingdoms team at all. This is like my thoughts are not their thoughts. And honestly, none of us here, like this is not a DFK affiliated show. So with that being said, I think that one way you could get around it is like, okay, like the raffles where you have like single like raffles, maybe just they're not eligible to participate, but everything that's like a pro rata airdrop, like the crystal that's coming out for heroes that are leveled up past level 1, everyone gets 1 jewel and 1 crystal, all those types of thing, like good to go, but maybe like a single, a limited quantity raffle. Maybe there's a policy that says they can't. I don't know. I have no idea what they're thinking.
It just feels bad though that they're like, all right, random draw, Flu, Synthstar, Raspberry. Oh, you guys won, congratulations. So, you know, like these people have been here from the start. They're already filthy rich, and why allow them to participate in something where, you know, the rest of the community has way more skin in the game? These people have gotten huge compensation just for being present on top of any of their gains. Doesn't feel great, but I get it. I mean, like you said, Sandwich, it could go either way. That leads me though to my next question for Z. Is this still a whales only game? Frisky seems to be heavily incentivizing whales, and as a non-whale myself, 1600 lock jewel balance, let's go. I don't love that sometimes, but maybe I'm just salty because I'm not a whale. So Z, do you feel like this is a whales only game? Can it be sustainable if it is a whales only game? Any thoughts on those?
I don't think it can be sustainable if it's a whales only game. But I do think it's necessary to incentivize both sides of the spectrum, because you need power users, essentially, I think, to really bolster the economy, as well as just like the average player, like a large community of the average players. What I've kind of been thinking about this. So one of the concerns I had is if jewel price gets really high. So like, what are people gonna do if summoning is like, was it like 60 jewel per summon? Like, what if jewel's like $100 or if jewel's like $60? That's what, like 4 racks per summon, which is ridiculous. So I think like if jewel price does get too high, that could be an issue where it could be like a whales, like only whales are really going to be summoning if jewel price is that high, unless you've been in the game for like a really long time and you just have a lot of jewel. So I think one of the ways to like counteract that is actually like the inflationary schedule of jewel. And I'm not sure if the team has thought about this. But if you keep jewel like inflationary, as in like there's continuously minting more of it and the people in the gardens are getting paid in jewel, then like the market cap could go up, but the jewel price could stay relatively the same, or like not relatively the same, but like not go up like a ridiculous amount. And I think since everything is priced in jewel, I think that could be one way to like counteract that. Like if the price is getting really ridiculous, I think it's happening already. Like if the gardens APR like weren't so high, jewel price would be higher, because that contributed a lot to the market cap growth early. So I think they've done it already, but I'm not sure how it will work in the future. But I don't think it's a whales game. Like I don't think people are prohibited from playing currently. I think time is more incentivized than just buying power. Is what I see it as.
Yeah, can I say one quick thing on the time thing?
Yeah,
so
go for it.
I decided to try and maybe I'll throw out my hat in and like burn a ton of stam pots and try to maybe get one of those heroes to level 10 and participate in that raffle. And I think I used like 40 last night. First of all, I've been way behind. Like tons of people have been hitting level 5s. I did not have any level 5s. I had a level 4 monk, a mythic monk, and I was like, let's see how long it takes me to hit level 5. I used a ton of stamina potions and I barely hit 5, and now I'm still like there's still hundreds of level 5 heroes ahead of me. And so I like decided like there's no way I'm doing this. And a lot of those level 5s are just ahead of me because they are more efficient at questing.
Yep.
You know, with my day job, I have a hard time keeping up and being super efficient with my quests. So there's a huge, like, for people who maybe don't have a ton in the gardens or in the bank, but can like go and hit that quest exactly as soon as their stamina comes up. I mean, they're leaps and bounds. I spent, let's see, 50. I spent 40 stamina potions almost, and I did the math yesterday. They were like $47 a piece. Like I spent, over $1,600 to level that guy up, whereas somebody has the benefit of already being 5 just by grinding through it in time.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna get like even more separated like as time goes on. Like once we're at like there's level 100s, I think it's gonna be even more significant.
Okay, I want to do a little counterpoint. Samichpunch was talking about how he represents both sides of the argument. So I want to represent the little guy whining in the background. I am that guy, by the way. Salty. So I'm going to represent that perspective, and I want the rest of the panel to tell me why I'm wrong. Okay, so here's why according to me, which again may be a flawed analysis, this is 100% a whales only game. Number one, cost of entry is excessively high. With Jewel at 750, it's more accessible, but it's generally an inaccessible game for poor people. So that's number one. Number two, all the airdrops or almost all the airdrops incentive massive whale jewel holders. So if I have $500 and Frisky Fox is like, hey, go stake your X jewel, that doesn't do anything for me. And then three, and a prominent DFK analyst always says this, and I always agree. It's isn't the incentive for whales, we talk about, oh, you got to incentive the whales. And I just don't understand that mentality. And again, I could be biased and wrong. I'm not a whale. But it wasn't their incentive that they got here early, got 1,000,000% APRs, got Gen Zeros early, saw the appreciation. As Z mentioned, hey, they 100x. Isn't that the incentive? So why am I wrong? Tell me, let's start with Z and just go down. Z, Sandwich, Babypunch. Why am I wrong? Why is this truly a game for everyone? Why is it not a whales only game?
Let's see. So I think that, so as far as the airdrops, as that like incentivizing whales, there's really no way to fairly do those airdrops in a way that whales wouldn't game the system. Like even if they weren't going to say you get more as the more jewel you have, if they like capped it at say up to only like 100 jewel, only like everything over 100 jewel wouldn't get you any higher probability of getting airdrops, then people would just make multiple accounts. So like the whales that have a lot in the game, they would just spread out their funds, and essentially would be the same situation. I do think the cost of entry is high for like somebody who is external to crypto. I will say the cost of entry is high. I think that for somebody who is active in crypto, it's not that high because a lot of people are already actively spending in other like DeFi protocols on other NFTs. I think like relative to other NFT collections, I think DFK is actually cheaper than most of them. So I will say that. And what was your last point that you said?
What was my last point?
The 1,000,000%. Oh yeah. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
wasn't their incentive that they saw 100x? Like, isn't that their reward for getting in
right.
early?
So that's their incentive. That is, they are rewarded for getting in early, but you want them to stay invested in the game. So like if there's no further incentive for being an active like power user in the game, they're just going to get their 100x. They're going to leave and find the next 100x.
Okay, so I want to say one thing and then I promise I'll shut up. Nate from the chat says the incentive is so that they don't dump their bags on you. Z, you just said something very similar. Okay, that seems Ponzi-ish to me because shouldn't they believe in the game? Don't we want whales who back the game, who believe in the product, who love the devs? And by the way, Samichpunch and Babypunch, they're those kinds of whales. They love the project. They're invested. I know that. I talk with them every day. So if we're saying, oh, Frisky has to create weekly incentives to keep these people in the game, that to me sounds incredibly scamish. And again, it hurts the little guy because the little guy, me and others, are like, hey, incentivize us, keep us in the game. And we're like, no, we have to keep these people who would leave if we don't give them more money. I don't know. And that's the end of the rant. Shutting up. Samichpunch, your take.
Yeah, no, I as an attorney, I love the taking a look at things from the other perspective. To answer your question, so like let's tackle the three things. So it is prohibitively expensive to enter the game right now. It is, I have family members who want to get into this, and it's hard. Like that, it is expensive. Telling someone, hey, 50 jewel or whatever the floor is right now, that's approaching $400 to get one hero that's going to get you some bloaters and can't do anything if you're in the gardens, and can't mine unlock jewel if you didn't already have some gardens. That's a hard pill to swallow. I think we need to take a quick step back though and just see where we are at with the project. We're at the tip of the iceberg. We have profession quests. Yes, you can't. One guy running profession quests is a little actually high key underwhelming. What we're going to have coming out though is we're going to have adventure quests, we're going to have combat quests, we're going to have PvP quests, and I don't know, I wish I knew, but I'm going to guess that as we start to see things happen, we're going to see other parts of the map open up where you can do profession quests out in other places. You can go do the combat and adventure quests. That there's going to be more than just simply again, I'm guessing and speculating here, more than simply just like coming all the way out here and clicking, maybe there will be some sort of time element. Like you can't send your hero out to that place without some sort of cooldown. It takes time, or it's gonna take stamina, and whatever the case may be, it's gonna start to become prohibitively, or it's gonna be prohibitive for someone with like 200 heroes to manage that. And then
It
we're gonna
is
have the
now.
scholar. Just with professions where all we're doing is clicking here in one zone. It's hard. I mean, I have 65 heroes, and I am having a hard time keeping up with it. So I think once we get the scholarship system out, I don't want to say too much and be like just crap on it, because they're working on it. They're making a scholarship system. That's not something you just like snap your fingers and it's there. Axie has a scholarship system, and there's a lot of things that don't work well about it. So they're trying to find the right system for it. So I would just say, like, let's just keep holding on, hold faith. Like they're delivering on the project. Let's see what happens with the scholarship system. And if that's just completely broken at that point, then let's have this conversation again about it being prohibitively expensive to enter.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
please.
Steve.
So I think also want to say, like, the heavy spenders in game, that money is flowing back into the ecosystem. So like it's designed in a way that the people who are spending the most on summoning, like spending the most buying heroes, like all the, I think it's one, I want to say it's like 30% of summoning costs go to the quest fund. So like the whales that are spending in game, even the smaller players benefit more from the heavy people like that are spending a lot, because without those people summoning like all the time, then there's not going to be jewel in the quest fund, and then there won't be rewards for those people who have maybe one hero and they're just doing their profession quest. So like for smaller players who don't spend as much, there has to be balance there for people spending in the economy. And I think if you like limit that to, say, if you over this amount, if you spend any more than this, then there's no really benefit for you. It also limits the growth of the economy as a whole for everybody else.
That's a fair point. We haven't heard from Babypunch. I want him to respond to this particular question about this topic, which is, do you want whales in the game who will only stay because we're giving them money and not because they believe in the project? So people are saying in chat, well, we have to incentivize them or they'll leave. Shouldn't they stay because they genuinely believe that this is a good project? And if it's not a good project, then shouldn't we be more concerned? So I'm hoping that the project itself, on the laurels and goodness of the project, on Frisky and the team who we have faith in, that's why you're staying. Not because I'm like, please stay because, and here's $100 or here's $1,000, here's a Gen Zero hero, because I don't want you to leave, because I know you leave because you don't believe in the project. Do we want those whales? Do we need those whales? Babypunch?
So I think one perspective you got, Umber, is everyone's here to make money. Like, that's just the bottom line. No one's going to spend thousands of dollars just to play a game. Like, this whole ecosystem is all built around people making money, and if that incentive isn't there, then you know, people are going to have a hard time jumping in. And they addressed a lot of your points earlier, but I wanted to mention one thing. So, for example, the hero issue of, and I used to be on the opposite side of this, of thinking, how are we ever going to get a return on our investment from buying a hero? But for example, if you buy a floor hero right now, you're going to
45 jewel.
Yeah. So say you buy a floor, and we're going to call them NFTs because that's what they are. You buy a floor NFT, compare it to, say, some NFT project on Ethereum that you have no clue, is it going to moon? Is it going to tank? You just have no clue. Well, the inverse with this is these NFTs, you can quest with them. So there is, even though the ROI on questing is really low, what you are going to see, and if you set aside the price of jewel as an independent variable, you're going to start leveling this hero up. So, and I know we've kind of mentioned this, but time is money. So the more time you put into questing with these heroes, you're going to level them up. That NFT will be worth more than what you paid for it in the future. So you're getting some ROI in questing, and you are getting an ROI in your time. So, and as the game progresses, as we get more advanced questing adventures and PvP, people are going to not want to grind out a level 1 hero. They're going to want to grab a hero that has already been leveled up, that already has good stats, maybe towards questing or maybe towards PvP. And so you are going to 100% see an ROI. And granted, that's setting aside the price of Jewel. If the price of Jewel, obviously dumps, then you not see that. But setting aside that variable alone, the NFT, this I think is such a solid guarantee return on your investment. So
Okay.
that's
We're
my
running short on
take on Arrows.
we're running short on time, but I did want to get one last would you rather to the team here, starting with Z, and just a small defense. This is kind of just helping the community understand maybe some of the core mechanics a little better. Would you rather have a mythic thief, or maybe we'll even go mythic Dark Knight? We're not going to even get into profession. Mythic Dark Knight or legendary Sage right now, and why? Z?
Damn, that's hard. That's hard. So I think I would take. I'm kind of biased. I like mages, but I think I would take a sage. So sage, I think what is it? Advanced and elite. So sages are the elite class. Like legendary elites and mythic advanced have essentially the same stats or the same probabilistic stats at the end of level 100. But I'm assuming that the elite classes are also going to have an advantage over the advanced classes with regard to their abilities and their skills. I know they said they're going to have like active and also passive abilities as well as skills. So in my mind, like the elites and like after that, the exalted, those classes are going to be the best in PvP. So those would be the ones that I would personally want to have, even though like the mythic advance is going to have like similar stats. I think that the higher, the ones that are harder to get should be better long term.
So you're saying all things remaining equal, go with the elite?
Yeah.
More or less. All right. Samichpunch, mythic Dark Knight, legendary Sage. Did we lose Samichpunch?
He's muted, I think.
Sorry, guys. Geez, I'm a scrub. I would probably go with the Sage as well for a lot of the same reasons. A legendary gets 7 bonus stats every 5 levels. A mythic gets 10. But as Z already noted, a Sage in aggregate is going to have higher growth rates than a Dark Knight because it's an elite class as opposed to an advanced class. So the stats are kind of a wash.
What if we change it to rare Sage? Maybe that'll be mythic Dark Knight, rare Sage.
So I think that does make it a little bit harder, but I would still probably go with the Sage just because I think there's at least right now, because I'm speculating like Z was about the benefit of a Sage in combat. So if you followed a lot of like what I've been posting and what others, you can look up, there's passive and basic abilities active and passive abilities for every hero. And then there's also going to be like a skill tree is how Hubert kind of has referenced it, because you'll notice when you level up, you get skill points. And I'm going to guess that the Sages have a different set of skills as an elite class that will most likely be better than skills available to an advanced class.
All right, uncommon Sage, Babypunch. Uncommon Sage, mythic Dark Knight.
Yeah, I'll take the mythic Dark Knight.
I would too. Uncommon, I take the mythic Dark Knight.
But on that note, real quick, the only
Yeah.
thing we have to really compare are the stat growth and how that's going to pan out. Like, we don't really know, like Samichpunch said, the skills, the passive, the active, how are those going to play into combat? So we're really just making an assumption on stat growth, and that's really, I don't even think that's half the picture.
Yeah.
So we don't have all the info.
A lot of speculation. Okay, we're going to end the podcast here with a giveaway. Z, are you a One Punch Man fan? Have you seen the anime?
I've seen a couple episodes. It was funny, but I haven't watched the whole thing.
Okay, it's good. Season 1's very good. So we're going to do a One Punch Man giveaway. Okay. I'm going to remind chat, in order to qualify for this, I'm going to be lenient on spelling because spelling is a little weird. So as long as you are directionally correct and you have all the correct words, I will be lenient on spelling. But you will need to put in your Discord number. It's like user. So it'd be, in my case, it'd be Bloaterpunch, # my number. So make sure you include that in your response. So I'm going to give you a second to get that queued up. as I prepare the questions. So take 5 seconds, get your Discord number typed in so that when you respond, all you have to do is type in the answer to the trivia and hit enter, and the winner will be clear. Okay, here's the question. In one of the episodes, Saitama discovers an S tier hero, a friend of his, S-class, playing a video game that he's embarrassed about. What is the name of that video game? Samichpunch, did I do the trivia right? I know we had talked about that. Is that a fair
Yeah,
question?
I think that's fair.
Okay. So someone just entered their Discord
So-
ID but didn't.
We're gonna go based off of how it shows up here in Restream, so that the Twitch people have a chance. So whoever shows up first in our
No, not who is the S tier hero though. Sorry, not who is the S tier hero. What is the name of the game that he is ashamed of playing? So I apologize, chat. So it's not King.
I think that was clear. I think that was clear.
Okay.
Your question. So yeah.
What is the name of the video game? And again, me and Samichpunch spent some time on this, and we really like this one. It's a little more like you'd have to be a fan. It's kind of hard to Google the name of the game that Saitama discovers King playing.
Yeah.
He was not
That's a
playing
good
Genshin
question.
Impact.
That's a good question.
He was not playing 8158 DFK. I know, but is that
Ugnius here?
no.
Ugnius.
Is that? Oh, he got it. Bang got it. It is Doki Doki Sisters. Bang.
Wait. I'm seeing up earlier.
I saw Sisters, but I didn't see Doki Doki.
Well, he kind of split it into two. He's Black
All right.
Straight 84543 Doki Doki Sisters.
Wait, who won? Sorry, I saw Dang. Did someone else win?
Yeah,
Bang.
well, Black Straight says Doki F Doki.
Black
I don't know if
Straight.
that counts.
What did he say?
He said
Doki
Doki F Doki, and then he immediately after added Sisters.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna let Samichpunch judge here.
Jeez.
Hey, maybe we do. I don't know. How about we take it? We'll figure it out. Can you get Bangs and we'll?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do like a first and
You want to
second
take
prize.
both Ugnius and Banks?
Okay, Ansem
Discord's down.
or Z, thank you so much for coming today. We love having you on this stream, so really appreciate your presence here. So again, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me. I have fun.
All right.
Yeah, I wanted to just say thanks too, man. Like, you're like, being on Twitter and retweeting a lot of my stuff when I was first getting started with like my whale watch reports is, really helped me kind of like grow my audience and my content. So like, big thanks for that.
Yeah, they're really helpful, dude. Like, so a lot of the stuff you were writing, like I had in my head, but I wasn't like formalizing it. So that they were really helpful in the beginning. Definitely.
Sweet.
All
Well,
right.
we'll be in touch.
Thanks, chat. Thanks, Z.
All right, guys.
Thanks.